to surround yourself with yes men. Look, we saw the president be presidential.
But
I
he
remember
says you were one of the yes men, Mick.
No, well, listen, John should know more than anyone else that what happens when the doors close in the Oval Office is not the stuff you see on TV. It's easy now, Chris, for people who don't like the president, who never liked the president, who always thought the president was a monster, wanted him to be that, people who saw him through the filter of the media to say, oh, look, we told you so. We knew it was always going to be like this. But those of us who worked with him every single day knew that the exact opposite was true, knew that he was into the policy. He was excited about what we had done for the country. Unemployment was down. We didn't have any new foreign wars. We had a lot of successes to point to, despite all of those sort of stylistic things that people like John Kelly just really didn't like. But we had those successes, and we were very proud of the work that we were doing, very proud of letting the president be the president because he was elected as the president. But again, all of that changed on Wednesday, and I don't know why.
But again, Mick, you know, a lot of people say it didn't change on Wednesday. Kelly was right. The president was impeached when you were chief of staff for cutting off aid to Ukraine, allegedly, unless they dug up dirt on Joe Biden. And here you were at that time defending the president. Take a look.
Just described is a quid pro quo. It is funding will not flow unless the investigation into the Democratic server happened as well.
We do that all the time with foreign policy.
Whether the president should have been impeached or not, and I don't want to get into that argument, why didn't you resign over that?
Because I simply misspoke. And I've had that conversation with John Carl, who was the gentleman asking that question, who's a friend of mine many, many times. But it's actually a really good example.
I'm not talking about your statement, Mick. I'm talking about why not resign over what I know you don't think was a proper thing for the president to do, cut off aid to Ukraine.
And
Chris,
link it
to digging up dirt on Joe Biden.
No. But Chris, no. Wait a second. That original impeachment, and I don't realize we're going to get into this today, had absolutely nothing to do with anything that was actually wrong. It was the Democrats looking for an excuse, and they found one line in a transcript with Zelensky saying, "Do us a favor," that gave them the political excuse they needed to do an impeachment. We all know, or at least many of us know and expect, that was an impeachment looking for an excuse. It was a political event. It was a show trial. And again, I don't want to get into this too heavily today, but that has nothing to do with what we're doing today. The reason I didn't resign back then is the president did nothing wrong. The president did nothing wrong back then.
Well, okay, let me ask you about some other things. You were a top member of the administration when the president defended the white supremacists at Charlottesville. You were a top member of the administration, not chief of staff, when the Trump administration separated parents coming across the border from their children. Why not resign over those?
I remember the kids in cages thing, which a lot of folks gave a lot of attention to, and we've seemed to have forgotten, including you, Chris, that those pictures, many of the pictures of the kids in cages were taken during the Obama administration. They were Obama cages.
Nothing like with the policy under Donald Trump.
Chris, these are policy differences, okay? These are things that you think the country should look one way, we think it should look another. These are differences of style, the way the president speaks. Did he misspeak at Charlottesville? Yes. Should he have corrected it? Yes. Did he handle it poorly? Yes. But it was not something that people resign over. If you talk for a living, as you and I do, you're going to misspeak from time to time. It's inevitable. Those are not the type of things that give rise to resignations. In fact, I don't think anybody, including John Kelly, resigned during any of those things. As I recall, John Kelly got fired and didn't resign. Wednesday was different, and I hope that we focus on why Wednesday was different than something about a policy over immigration or a policy on how to handle this or that. This is different, and I think it's important that people recognize the differentiations between differences over policy and what happened on Wednesday.
Finally, on November 7th, you pointed this out, and I want to ask you specifically about it. On November 7th, 4 days after the election, as you point out, you wrote an article for the Wall Street Journal. I want to put some of it up. You said, the U.S. needs to know that the winner is actually the winner. And once Americans know that, I have every expectation that Mr. Trump will be, act, and speak like a great president should, win or lose. Mick, how could someone who worked with the president so closely for 3 years be so wrong about who Donald Trump was?
Yeah, clearly something is different now than it was when he saw it. I wrote that article for a reason, because I had seen the examples. And if you go read the piece, I give a couple of examples. I've never told this one. There's another example that I've never talked about publicly, which is that during the impeachment, the president tweeted something during the testimony, and there was concern that it might rise to the level of tampering with witnesses. I know a little bit about the law. I practiced law a long time ago. It wasn't that, but I was worried about the political impact of that. So I went to the president privately, said, Mr. President, this is going to be a political problem. We need to fix this. He looked at me and said, okay, brought the lawyers down, talked to them, picked up the phone, called Kevin McCarthy, brought Ivanka in, talked to them, talked to some of his friends in New York, got a bunch of different opinions, and then fixed it, reversed course, and did the right thing. That was the president that we saw time and again. You saw him through the media. You saw him in the light that you wanted to see him. We saw the real President Trump, who had that ability to pivot when he knew something had gone off the rails. That didn't happen on Wednesday. It hasn't happened much since the election. And that's what I think the difference is, and that's why I got that piece so wrong 6 weeks ago.
Mick, thank you. Thanks for your time. Always good to talk with you, sir.
Thanks, Chris.